Today, we need to up our resource production. We're currently having to manually mine in 2026, so I'm going to show you guys 2 quarry designs that should generate us tons of raw ores to process later. I also move on to my new base, but there's a catch. I think I might have accidentally stolen my base design from one of the biggest inspirations to this channel, ChosenArchitect.
Oh my god.
Cancel this man.
That's disgusting.
So welcome back to AllTheMons. Welcome back to AllTheMons. It is a rather dark day today. I'm not actually going to be sleeping through the night because I'm trying to get my hands... Ow, thank you, Mr. Viscount. I'm trying to get my hands on some phantom membrane. There aren't really any easy ways we can get our hands on phantom membrane other than spawning in phantoms. However, I know that certain mons drop them, so I might have a little go with that. The main reason we want phantom membranes is to use them to get creative flight. The way that we get creative flight is actually quite simple. We first need to obviously use redstone to extend the potion, and to get that initial flying potion, we need popped chorus fruit with a levitation potion, and then a fermented spiderite on a slow falling to get that levitation, and the slow falling comes from the phantom membrane. Now the 2 difficult parts of this are the phantom membrane and the popped chorus fruit. However, the chorus fruit has an interesting recipe using generalized ender predictions. So I think it's best that we get into hostile neural networks ASAP. Now thankfully, we only need the simulation chamber. Actually, we do have netherite, so we could get into the loot fabricator. But we only need the simulation chamber for this example, which we already have most of the ingredients for. Perfect. And then we're going to need the deep learner, and this is what will actually be doing the learning of the mobs. And lastly, we need the model framework, and this is how you actually build a data model, like one of the ones you see on this side of the screen here. Now, of course, we're going to be struggling with power, and earlier on I made myself an energy cube, which will be able to store power. So that means that I can have this generator running and just plonk the simulation chamber just over here. And that should now be getting some power from our energy cube. The cube itself was not a difficult craft. You needed steel casing and then some energy tablets, which needed infused alloy, which we get from the metallurgic infuser that I did last episode, converting 1 enriched redstone and 8 copper into infused alloy. If you can't tell from all the wacky apotheosis noises, I've also been doing a little bit of the apotheosis stuff. If I press Ctrl T, it will show me my world tier, and you get a higher world tier from doing these certain challenges here, like equipping a rare chest plate or whatever. The rare items, I believe, are the blue items, if I'm not mistaken, and we need to get a whole set of them to upgrade to the summit tier. You'll get a bunch of apotheosis items from random mobs around the game. Depending on your world tier, you'll get different rarities of items, and those are designated by the colours you see on the left-hand side of the screen. And because of all of the armour and loot that we've found so far, we're currently at the Ascent tier. By being at this tier, monsters are significantly more difficult to fight, but we get more experience and we get more luck. The good thing is, if these monsters are too tough, I can just activate a lower tier and just change it depending on what I want to do. I actually managed to pick up a couple of really nice loot items here. One of these has mana regen 4 and mana boost, so at some point later on it'd be good to strip those enchantments off and put them on our existing armour. But for now, I will put all of that away. Also, by killing a mill tank, I managed to get an everlasting beef. This is basically food that lasts forever. If I go and smelt this up, and throw it into our smelt glyph, you'll see it turns into an eternal steak, and I can literally just eat this, and it doesn't get consumed when eaten. There is a bit of a recharge cooling effect on it, but I'll be honest, it's actually really useful. I'm going to put it in my backpack for now, and we'll get a feeding upgrade at some point. And I also managed to get a TM of false swipe, which is a really useful one. I don't remember specifically what I killed for it. Maybe someone can help in the comment section. I don't actually know how the TM and TR discs work when they drop. But this is going to be a little bit less of a Pokemon episode and more of a general progression. So this will come in handy for a later time. For now, I will pop it into this chest over here, which has gained a ton more items and fossils since you last saw it. So that is really good. So let's get started with that hostile neural network. I want to find myself an Enderman. And the good thing is that I believe it can actually be any kind of Enderman, because I believe they all count the same. So if I come up to this Enderman and right click it with the model framework, yeah, I'll get this Enderman data model. And if I place this inside of my deep learner, you'll see the model tier right now is faulty and it will upgrade to basic in 6 kills. So if I pop this in my curio slot, and then we'll just pop off this nether waste Enderman, you'll see in the top left of my screen, the faulty model now has 5 remaining. I then went on an Enderman killing spree, trying to upgrade our model to that basic tier and getting the 6 kills required for it. And that was the last one just there. Now I might as well, whilst I'm here, kill as many as possible to try and see if we can get it to a further level rather than just basic. And to be honest with you, this is also a really good time to collect some pearls for later crafts down the line. And the last guy over here. Perfect. We've now got it to advanced. We now need 30 kills to get it to the next level. I think that's probably a good place to stop. I'll pop back to home. I can take out my Enderman data model here and place it inside my simulation chamber. And it will tell me the model accuracy. Now, we'll always get a generalized ender prediction, so right now that's all we care about, but it will cycle through down here these different types of model that we can get. Right now, we're obviously at this advanced tier, so we have 22% chance of getting an Enderman prediction, and this is what you can use to extract ender pearls or Enderman heads, end crystals, etc. But all we're interested in right now is that generalized ender prediction. So how do we get those predictions? Well, we first need to craft ourselves some of these blank prediction matrices. They're not difficult at all. Iron, gold, and clay with some glass panes. We'll craft up a stack of those and just place them inside our simulation chamber. It will then use the power, you'll see this percentage bars going up, to produce those generalized ender predictions and a chance of an Enderman prediction. And there we go. So that's done one cycle. We didn't get the Enderman prediction, but we did get what we wanted, the generalized ender prediction. So if I take this, I can then craft that with an apple to get chorus fruit, and then smelt that up to give us the popped chorus fruit we need for the flight potion. For now, I'll pop that back in the system. So now that I had done the popped chorus fruit, I really needed to focus on the phantom membrane. Phantoms hadn't spawned in just yet, so I realised we probably should try out a different method. And that's where I got into finding Pokemon that drop phantom membrane. On your screen now is every single Pokemon that drops phantom membrane, but a lot of these Pokemon aren't particularly common. However, Zubats are really common in caves, and so I went to go and hunt them in a nearby lush cave. Now, I happen to know, if I press J on my minimap, I actually spotted, I don't think I covered this, but I actually spotted a Pokemon Center in this direction. These are some really cool structures, and I think most of my mates that are playing this pack are actually living in one of these structures. They are super cool. Let's get a good angle of it. Yeah, over here, check this out. It is huge, and I think that's just unlocked as a quest as well, which is really nice. These are really cool to come across in the early game because they already have a healing machine inside and a PC. And I think that might have just finished off our getting started questline. But either way, what I was going to show you was there's a really nice ravine on this side of the map, and let me show you this on camera because it is ridiculous how insane this is. Right, yeah, just over here. Let me go down into this ravine and, hold on, check out this cave that we found. It is huge, and more importantly, it spawns a lot of Zubats. In fact, I think there's one over here. It's a 2.5% chance for Zubats to drop it. So I feel like we might get lucky spending a little bit of time in this cave. Luckily, if I hit them once. Oh, I thought that was it then. I could technically also use the poker finder that I showed last episode to specifically search for Zubats, and that might help out quite a bit. Apparently there's one nearby. Oh yeah, there is. So I'm just going to go around and see if we can get lucky with this. If not, hopefully we'll get a phantom spawn. That poker finder is incredibly useful for this. Obviously you've got the journey map where you can see all the mons, but the poker finder is just so much better. I found a load of Zubats in no time at all, and then eventually we picked up our first phantom membrane. Yes! Okay, brilliant. We got the phantom membrane. Oh my goodness, I don't know how many we killed, but that is quite a few. Right, that means I can put away everything that we've got. You know what? I'm going to keep one of these Zubat trophies. Just because I feel sorry for the population of Zubats that we've had to get through. So, there we go. And I didn't know this at the time, but you can also set the animation that they play. Hold on. We can have it like this. Oh, that's terrible. That's not a trophy, that's a memorial. I don't know whether I love or hate that, but that is so funny. So we crafted a brewing stand last episode, and I believe this is the order that we actually need to have our ingredients go in to brew up that flight potion for 30 minutes. So what I'll do is actually leave it in there and grab ourselves a hopper. And literally just hopper in those ingredients in the exact order they're supposed to be in. And then if I add my glass bottles, that should do it in the meantime and produce me 3 potions of flying each of 30 minutes. And we could just drink those potions indefinitely, but the better idea we can do is using the pylons mod. We can actually apply a potion to a card and have that work as if it was a beacon. So what I will do is craft myself up a potion filter, and then I believe it's the infusion pylon is the one that we need. Right, and that should be the final potion of flying, 30 minutes of flight. So if I drink my potion, I can then right click with the potion filter, and that will add those seconds into the card. And it says here we need 3,600 seconds of flight. That is basically 1 whole hour. So all we need to do is drink the potion and then right click with the potion filter, and that will fill up the card. We're going to need to use all of our potions. And once that is done, you'll see here it says activated. Meaning that if I placed the infusion pylon down and added my potion filter, double tapped spacebar, we now have creative flight, which is fantastic. So useful at this stage of the game. Now what you want to make sure is that you place this in an area with loaded chunks. Currently, I've got these loaded. Basically, you just claim a chunk by left-clicking, and then you can shift-left-click, and that will force load the chunk, meaning that it's always going to stay loaded when you're logged in. And you can see your chunk boundaries with F3G. However, I'm probably going to go into my gym jar, and I'm going to force load this. I can actually see the boundary of the box just over here. And these jars are really nice because they cover a literal 2x2 chunk radius. That's 32 by 32 blocks. I can claim that entire land and then force chunk load it like that. And no matter where I place my infusion pylon in here, I will always have creative flight. So what is the first thing that I'm going to do with my newfound creative flight? I'm going to show you my new base area. And then we're going to actually build a new base. We're not going to be living in this makeshift shack that I've got, that I've taken over and just completely ruined. So let me introduce you to the new base area. The way that I got here is by using the /RTP command. I think I did a couple. If I look at journey map, I only did 2 RTPs to find this place. I found some dodgy area up here that I didn't really like the look of. And then I did one more, and that gave me this really strange but nice biome. You'll see the area that we've got nearby. We've got an ice marsh over here. I've never seen this biome before. I think it's a Terralith one. We've got some windswept hills just across from us over here. They look really goofy, but I do think we get some really rare mon spawns. The area that we're currently building, I even flattened out this little bit of land here, check this out, is called the Bloomin' Valley.
We're living in a bloomin' valley, Harry.
Don't ask me why I did a Hagrid impression. I think I've lost the plot. But it's a really nice area. Looks very cool. We also have some interesting Pokenav mob spawns in the uncommon and rare, such as Rolts. Ooh. And I don't know what this is. I want to find out what this little dragon-looking thing in the bottom right here. I don't know what it is. It looks sick. But I see Lucario. I see Snorlax. We get some really cool mons here. And in the ultra-rare category, we get some cool ones as well. Across the pond, we also have this biome right next to us, which is the Moonlight Valley, which also has some whacking spawns, including the most British Pokemon known to man. If you know, you know. We'll find one of these sometime soon. And a wacky tower over here, Pillager Outpost. Now, there was an Evoker at the top, one of the ones that has the Totem of Undying, and I already kind of finished him off. He was just over here. Wait, is that Budding Amethyst? I didn't know that was there. So we've got our beautiful Blooming Valley biome, next to the cool Moonlit Valley, next to some windswept hills, also next to some ice marsh. In my opinion, this is the perfect place to build. I'm so excited. And so what are we building? I showed it off last episode. Here it is. I've got a schematic for it. I built this in creative mode. I didn't really know what theme we were going for. I mentioned about doing a kind of magic theme, and so I went for a kind of magic mossy outpost. I'll turn shaders off for a second so we can see this properly. But to explain this build, it's basically just a massive tower with a nice bit of land in between and a load of different floors that we can literally just have an elevator towards. And then at the top, I built a kind of mini battle arena. I think this would be really fun to have the trainer spawners so we can actually spawn them in just at the top of our base. I think that'd be so cool. Wait, hold on. Is this a gym interruption in the middle of the video? So I've been editing the video and I've got something funny to share with you guys because I've been reading the comments of the last video. Last episode, I used some inspiration from a post on Pinterest that I found when I typed in Minecraft Tower in Pinterest. And I'll show it on the screen now. A really nice build. Love it. And I believe that ChosenArchitect also used this exact same inspiration on his livestream AllTheMods series. And you might be wondering, well, why am I bringing this up? Well, because in the newest update, 0.11, they've added a new structure called the Chosen Tower. And I think this is the same build that he did in that livestream series. And I've just noticed it's so similar to mine. I feel like I've fully copied him. This was not intentional. We both just happened to find the exact same inspiration. But it just feels so silly. I can't believe I've done this. Luckily, in my build, I've done something a little bit different. I had that cool Pokemon thing, and I've also got the Battle Arena on the top. So I think it should differentiate our builds. But what are the chances? I feel so bad. I feel like I've just fully nabbed his design. I'm sorry, Chosen. You're probably the biggest inspiration for this channel, but I did not pinch your build. I am so sorry. If you're interested in the schematic for the base, check my Discord. I will be posting it over there, and you can paste this into your own world. I'm going to place the schematic cannon over here. If I place in my schematic, this will be able to actually print out the build that I've just created. I crafted myself a clipboard with a really easy recipe like so, and if you place that inside here, it will actually show you the materials that you need. So for this build, there's quite a lot. There's 6 whole pages of materials that you need to get. But again, with the power of editing, I have done this off camera. Inside my chest, I've already got all of the items that I actually needed for this build. One of the things that really helped us out is the Cobble Gen Galore mod. These are the ones that we used in AllTheMods 10 to the Sky, and they are so easy to craft in this version. It's literally just like diamonds and glass. But what you can generate from here is absolutely incredible. Things like limestone, granite, tuff, just literally a permanent source of andesite. All of this is super, super useful. And I've just been using that in the background to passively generate. Look how quick this also generates as well. We're getting like a stack per second. It's ridiculous. And that definitely helped us get the materials that we need. Now, we need to move over our entire storage system to that new base. I think I could do this using packing tape, but I need slime balls. Oh, that's annoying. Ooh, no it's not. I've got slime pearls. Apparently I picked up a slime pearl, and that gives us 6 for that. That shouldn't actually be too difficult. I'm going to craft up 4 of these, because we can turn those 4 into a super packing tape, which has 32 uses. And what I'm going to do here is literally just right-click our chests, and that will put tape over them. I'll do that with all of these guys. And then if I break my chest, it will now drop it as an item, and I can shift to see all the contents of it. So let's pinch all of these. Eventually we'll move to disk storage, but for now I think we're going to need this, and also we need to build our base as well. I'll also be taking out our applied logistics system and moving that over there. I'll plonk the storage controller down just like so, and then I'll literally just place down the chests. There's no real rhyme or reason for this. For now, this will all just go over here, and that is all of them. The cool thing about the schematic cannon is it will pull blocks from adjacent inventories, so it will actually use this storage controller. And if I place in my material checklist, I can actually see all of the items that are going to be used, and if we're missing anything. So, oh, apparently I was wrong. I am missing 2 things. I'm missing a single quartz slab and a black stained glass pane. But everything else is inside the chests, and it's all been ticked off automatically by the schematic cannon. I'll quickly rebuild that applied logistics system we had before, craft those missing components, and then pop in my material checklist. Right, and that should be all of the items that we need. If I place it in my material checklist and just check, yep, it's all been ticked off. And I'll just do a final check to make sure the schematic is in the right place. That is looking good to me. So once that is good, all we need to do is fill it up with some gunpowder. I don't think it'll use that much. So I've got 25 here. That goes in that top left slot just up here. Place back in the schematic. And I think everything else here on the settings is good. I can now just press play. And that will now place down all of those blocks. It will take an absolute time to do this. And I might need to remove these mage lights. In fact, let me just do that for now. I think it will actually replace them. But better to be safe than sorry. Let's remove these mage lights. Great, so I will just let that run in the background. In the meantime, something that I was reminded to make myself is a magnet. Last episode we did a bit of mining in the nether, and a lot of the items just dropped on the ground. So if I craft myself a magnet and then right click to turn it on, I'll actually pick up dropped items from a larger radius. Like that. Really, really handy. Pop that in my charm slot. And I think for now, it's just going to be the waiting game until this is done. I'll cut back to you guys when this is fully complete. Okay, we are almost there. Almost at the end. I have noticed a couple of things though. Number one is that we're getting some mob spawns, and I really don't want that, especially creepers. So what I'm going to do is claim the land. We'll do it like that. There we go. And then I also want to see if we're able to craft a mega torch. Looks like we can. I think we've got all the resources that we need for it. Great, that is exactly what we want. And you'll see here it says prevents natural spawning of hostile mobs in a big radius around the torch. I believe it's 64 blocks. So what I'll do is I'll place it in this room, in this corner over here. We'll probably move that later on, but that will prevent any hostile mobs in our area. Oh, we finished it. Yeah, perfect. It's actually finished. Right, let's have a look. It looks like it's pasted it incorrectly. I still see some mobs down there. I see a skeleton. But that is looking mighty fine. I am loving this build. Right, let me remove some of these glass placeholders that I placed before. That one there, and I think there's one over here. And that is the base done. Obviously, I want to tidy this up a little bit. Eventually place in some extra leaves, some barrels, some furnishings, decorations, maybe bone meal around the area as well. I'm also going to just take off my night vision goggles for this one, because what I want to do is craft some feral flare lanterns. These will place invisible lights. If I go into my build, you'll see it's actually quite dark. But if I find the middle of my base, I don't actually know how big this is. And for that, I will craft a tape measure. I could count, but a tape measure is cooler. And if I right-click in one spot and then right-click this other spot, you'll see we've got this big 13 by 13 area. So that means we need to come in 6 blocks here. So it's this row here, and we need this to come in. So it's just right here. That's the center place. So if I place down this feral flare lantern here, it will light up this area here, but you'll see it will spawn in these invisible lights. I think I just saw one there. There's another one here. And these are really handy. This basically just means that it lights up a larger area than a regular torch. And we can place a few of these around the base on different floors. And speaking of different floors, right now there's no real way to access them. Right, I have cored out the entire middle section of my base, all the way up to that roof bit over here. Because inside the base, I'm going to be placing elevators. They're really easy to craft, just wool and an ender pearl. And if you place 2 like so, you can press space and shift to switch floors, and that's really useful. And it can even pass into ridiculous heights, so I can actually go all the way up to the top of my build, placing down the elevator there, and I can actually go from the top floor all the way to the bottom floor with no stress at all. So I think what the plan is going to be right now is to keep that cord out, and then eventually we will add all of the elevators. I don't really have enough wool or ender pearls to do this right now, but that will be good. I can also camouflage the elevators by right-clicking a block on it, and that will actually camouflage it. I chose to go for the stripped spruce log so that it's still really obvious what block is the elevator block, but it blends in with all the spruce planks nearby. I can do it with that one as well. If you want to remove the camouflage, you can actually just shift right-click with an empty hand, and I can finally remove that schematic cannon as well. So let's go and move all of our stuff from our old base to our new base to settle us in and make this place really feel like home. I have now done a little bit of clean up. I've added a little dirt path around here so that it blends in a bit better, as well as some leaves, some flowers, things like that. Just the odd little bits that make a build really feel alive. I'm sure we'll add more as things progress, but for now that is me done with decorating. I've also moved everything inside, so let me introduce you. When you first walk in, we've got the PC and the healing machine. I know that I can put the healing station and the PC on a stick, and I will do it eventually, but I think this looks cool. And then when I walk in, the first floor is just going to be a kind of relaxing floor. Nothing too special, just the odd sort of bits and bobs, maybe a smithing table, a little bit of the Ars stuff around here, furnaces, etc., as well as my bed setup. And then my chest setup will go here. Temporarily, eventually we'll have drives and everything like that. The second floor is where we'll start doing the machines. Right now, I need to fix this up because I've not actually got this hooked up to anything. But that will do for now. So this is the biggest part that needs moving over. I'll grab that packing tape that we collected and pack all of our chests up for the final time. And then place all of our chests in, like so. Controller there. Boost cable, storage bus, terminal, and then lastly, the resonance generator. And now that is our storage system all set up in our new base. There are a couple of things that we need to still move over, like the teleport pad. And we don't currently have a place for our apricorn farm and our drawers, especially with a drawer controller, so I'll have to sort out something with that. I'll place the storage bus over here that's going to be connected with a higher priority to our storage controller, and then I can place our drawers just on this side over here, like that. And then I'll have another set of drawers just over here with our apricorn farm that I had. I think if I just add all of that, should now still work. We've got a load of these apricorn logs. I don't know what to do with them. I might just turn them into charcoal for now. I think with charcoal, yeah, we can get graphite bars. Means we can also get into extreme reactors. Ooh, I wonder what else we'll be doing this episode. And then lastly, the teleport pad there. And then I might as well have a little spot that we can put all of our smithing templates. I'll pop them just above the bed. I think that's quite a nice little spot. I'll connect all of my drawers over to here. We need to place our trophies. Oh, you know what we could do with the Zubat one? I've got an idea. Hear me out. This might look really cool. I'm going to place the Zubat one just below my bed and then right click, positioning him inside the bed like that in his sleep animation. That is so dumb. I love it. I'm going to keep that like that. But because all of our stuff is in the gym jar, luckily all of our crushing and smelting setup has actually moved with us already because it's all inside this jar that I've now moved into my base. So what are we going to do for the rest of this episode? Let me show you. Last episode, towards the end, we crafted the teleport pad. And if I shift right click, we will enter the ATM mining dimension. The ATM mining dimension, let me just break all the way down here, is just simply a mining dimension. There's no mob spawns. There's loads of ores, including AllTheModium as a natural spawn. And it goes all the way down from stone to deep slate. And then from deep slate, we actually make our way down into netherrack, meaning we can get ancient debris this way. And then lastly, if we get through the netherrack, we finally end up with endstone right at the bottom. So that means we can get access to all resources from all 3 dimensions if we set up an automatic mining system. So what automatic mining system do we have access to? Well, the best one is the RF Tools Builder. This requires some AllTheModium nuggets, and I believe we've actually got 5 left over. Yeah, 5 left over, and obviously we've got a full ingot from when we crafted the teleport pad. Although saying that, we are out of redstone. We've only got a little bit left. So we could do a little bit of mining ourselves in the ATM dimension. So the way that I'm going to be doing that is similar to what I showed off last episode using the enchanted spell turret. I'm only going to be doing this for a little bit until we can get access to that quarry, so it's not that important right now. But it is still useful nonetheless. The spell that I want to craft is going to be simply a projectile, break, a load of AoEs, and then I want two things at the end. I want extract, which will apply silk touch when breaking a block, and then I want to get an item pickup right at the end so that we can put all the items into a chest. The problem is that item pickup needs to have a couple of AoEs at the end to pick up all of those items. I'd have to do something like this. So I'm actually going to go for something completely different. We're going to use a shape glyph, and the one that I want to craft is a glyph of propagate plane. It is a very expensive craft requiring a block of diamond, Wilden Spike, Firework Star, and a Manipulation Essence, but this is so worth it. In fact, in the AllTheMons Apricorn Farm guide that I made, we use this heavily. So this is definitely worthwhile to get right now, and then in the future we will definitely use it again. So like I did before, let's just put in the Propagate Plane over here. Let's throw all of them in there, and that should give us the Propagate Plane glyph. Fantastic. And what the Propagate Plane glyph actually does is it will change the shape of what we're trying to do. So if I, for example, crafted touch, propagate plane, and then added as many AoEs as I wanted, and did something like conjure mage block, you'll see it will actually place them all like this. This roughly acts the same as if I had done that with all of these AoEs, but the cool thing is about using the shape glyph is that I can do something afterwards and still affect those exact same blocks. For example, if I wanted to conjure a mage block in that area and then break that massive area, I'd have to use conjure mage block with all the AoEs and then break with all the AoEs. But if I did it with propagate plane, I can do touch, propagate plane, loads of the area of effects, conjure mage block, and then break. So really, the quarry spell that I want to do is going to be projectile, propagate plane with a bunch of AoEs, break, extract, and then lastly, the item pickup spell. However, remember last time when I made the Enchanter's Gauntlet and we added an extra slot to our spell because it automatically added touch? Well, there is the Enchanter's Wand. The Enchanter's Wand will add projectile and accelerate at the start of any spell, meaning that we save a slot and also we get accelerate for free using this Enchanter's Wand. It's not particularly difficult to craft. We have all of the ingredients here already ready for it. We'll place all of these items here. And then lastly, the Vexing Archwood log, and that will create us the Enchanter's Wand. Perfect. We'll grab that and escape the gym jar. And if I place the Enchanter's Wand on the scribe's table, look up my spell and remove that projectile, and in fact, I'm then going to middle-click this break spell and add another AoE in that extra slot. Press create, and then I can shift right-click, and that will set the spell on my oh my god, did you hear that voice break? And that will set the spell on my Enchanter's Wand, adding the projectile and accelerate to the start. Let's grab a load of jars for this, and we'll take that to our teleport pad. I'm not actually sure how big of a radius this is, so let's try and go in the middle of this chunk. And we'll place the Enchanter's turret facing down. Right-click with our Enchanter's Wand to set the spell. And then just for testing purposes, let's give it a lever to the side. We'll give it an iron chest to the side as well, with a void upgrade because we'll configure this afterwards. And then a load of source jars at the back. Right, so let's test this out. Let's just do a couple of these spells. Yeah, that does seem to work. And all of the items should be going in here. They do. In fact, I'm also going to break this first layer. Let's just do that again so we can actually now see what we're doing. And yeah, that is working a treat. All of the items are being extracted, so Silk Touch is being applied. They're also all being put into this chest. Let's just check down here. Yep, none of them are appearing on the floor. And I can configure this chest to void off stone. I'll keep the dirt for now and the grass, but that should mean that every time stone enters this inventory, it will instantly be voided like that. So without further ado, let's test this out with a timer as well. Plop the lever on the side and enable it, and then pause whilst redstone's active. Let's set this to 5 and just let it go ham. And if we look in our chest, we should hopefully see all of these ores racking up. When we get something that we don't want, I'm eventually going to throw that into the void upgrade like deep slate or netherrack. And despite the fact that we've not got this full quarry, this is actually really good. We're getting a load of coal, diamonds, all of this stuff. And now finally we're reaching that deep slate level. So let's add deep slate there into the void. Pull all of this out and then throw it back in to void it. Ah, we're now at the netherrack level. Let's lob that in there. And we don't seem to be mining right now. What is the reason for that? Let's go down here and just quickly check. Ah, I think it's because, yeah, what is this? Iridium. Yeah, we're not able to actually mine that right now. So if I remove that, should continue mining. There's going to be certain ores like osmium, platinum, and iridium that we're not currently able to mine with our harvest level. Now, we could actually fix that by removing one of the AOEs, moving this over, and then adding an amplify, and that will increase the harvest level. But to be completely honest with you, I actually would prefer the area of effect. It means that we can mine more blocks. So I don't mind manually fixing that when that happens. So we've mined pretty far down. That is all of our turrets now drained of source. Now, luckily, we can obviously put that back in the mycelial farm and instantly grow our source back. Let's have a look at the haul. That is a really, really decent haul. And at least we now have enough redstone to try and make that builder. As well as a load of coal, which we can turn into graphite for our power situation as well. I haven't managed to pick up any AllTheModium in this trip. However, look at the amount of diamonds we got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 veins over here. Right, let's return back home and enter the old gym jar. And I'll throw all of my ores into the crushing over here. That's 3 stacks of redstone. I honestly love that setup so much. It's so good. Anyway, we can now make that builder like so. We then also need to add a quarry shape card. We've got various different options here. We've got the option of a fortune. I would personally prefer silk, but the problem is with the silk touch one, we need a nether star, and I don't have the ability to make that right now. The fortune one, however, we can actually make that, and that's really easy. So for now, we'll do that. And then we need to make the basic shape card quarry. That should not be too difficult. Great, that's the basic quarry setup. And then we'll make the fortune quarry. Whilst we're at it, do we have any dimensional... We do have a few dimensional shards. I'm actually going to craft ourselves the machine infuser from RF Tools. Really basic craft, and we're going to grab some of those dimensional shards. In fact, we'll grab 2 stacks for now. I go upstairs to our mechanism room. I'm going to place down the machine infuser right on top and just make sure that that's being given power. It is. And then I'll throw some charcoal inside our iron furnace generator. And if I plonk in my builder here, I can infuse it with dimensional shards. You'll see it says infuse 2%. And the infusing bonus, if I hold shift, reduces the power consumption and increases the speed. So once you've got enough dimensional shards, this is really worth doing. Each stack infuses it by 25%. 4 stacks in total will infuse the machine fully. In the meantime, let's upgrade these chests. I'm going to break them all and... Oh, my magnets. Oh, dear. For now, I'll throw all of my ores in my AE system, but I would love to process these a little bit later. Right, I'm going to try and get myself these upgraded to gold, and then we'll upgrade the gold ones to diamond. And that will do for now. I would like to get some stack upgrades. Can we afford them? That's the question. Great, that is 2 tier 4 upgrades. We have just used every single one of our diamonds, but that's fine because we will have more in a minute. And I also want to craft ourselves the compacting upgrade. That's relatively easy for the first compacting upgrade, but we want the advanced one. It does require... Oh, it requires a diamond. That's funny. Oh well, we've got some of that diamond ore that we need processing anyway. Perfect. That is the upgraded advanced compacting upgrade. Now, what will we be using to power it? Well, I already sort of spoiled that one. We're going to be trying out the extreme reactors, and luckily there's a quest line to help you out with this. This is basically nuclear power, but it won't explode, which is a lifesaver compared to some of the other mods. There's a really handy book here called the Extreme Book if you want to learn a bit more, but personally I would just follow along with the quest line. It will show you exactly what you need to get started, and for our first reactor quest, I'm actually going to pin this, because this is going to show us how to make the smallest reactor. None of these components are particularly difficult. We need a lot of this reactor casing, which uses graphite bars. The way that you get graphite bars is by smelting up charcoal and coal. And we've got a load of those apricorn logs that we've been getting from our farm over here. So I can use these to get charcoal, or we've got a load of this coal ore as well. I might as well go and process this using our crushing factory, because that should get us a load as well. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. I did not expect that much. I'm hoping that if I throw all of that into our smelting factory as well, we should be covered on graphite for a long while. Yeah, I have a slight inkling that I think that will be enough. Right, let's grab all of that and pop that back in our storage system and craft everything that you see on the right-hand side of our pinned quests. The good thing about this is, despite the fact that we're making a 3x3x3, the smallest reactor, a lot of the materials that we're going to be using are actually reusable. So things like the controller, the input hatches, and the active forge energy tap. So my recommendation is to make that smallest reactor and then upgrade it. Right, I think that is everything. I haven't completed the quest though. Oh, I probably need to do this one as well. Right, so as a casing block, we can actually use reactor casings or we can use reactor glass. This just allows it to be see-through. For now, because we're using the smallest reactor, we won't actually be able to see anything inside, but I will craft this just to complete that quest line. And now we can unlock all of these things here. We're also going to need something to transfer all that power, so I'm going to use the basic universal cables, and in fact, we're going to upgrade those to the advanced ones. They can hold 51,000 FE per tick. We're not going to be generating anywhere near that, but it's good to have a little bit of a buffer. So I'm back in the mining dimension. I'm going to press F3 and G to see all of our chunks, but I need to have a chunk claimed so that I can keep this all active. So I'm actually going to claim the chunk that we're in right now and place our quarry within those bounds and our reactor as well. Our reactor, because it's the simplest reactor, it's not going to be very difficult. It's just a 3x3 reactor. So I've placed a bed of 3x3 reactor casings. We're going to place the controller over here. The reactor fuel rod goes in the center with a control rod on top. We're going to have the reactor active forge energy tap on the side like so. And then on the other two sides, we're going to be placing the solid access ports, with one of them being set to outlet mode rather than inlet mode. And then the rest of the blocks we can just fill with reactor casings basic. And that should be enough to make our first reactor. You can tell it's done because all of these border blocks look good and the reactor starts blinking. And if I right click, I can see our basic reactor controls. Now, because this is just the most basic reactor, I don't really care about things like heat, casing heat, core heat, etc. This all really doesn't matter to us. But what does matter is filling up our fuel status. The way that we do that is by grabbing a load of uranium. We've got quite a bit already, but I might as well process some more because you can never have too much uranium. And if I go back to my reactor, I need to find the inlet port, which is this one, and throw our uranium in. I can actually leave it in here as well, and you'll see we've now filled up the core. I can then press turn on the reactor, and we can see how much energy we're generating. So this small reactor is generating 2.5 kilo FE per tick. That won't be enough to fill up the quarry, but that'll be enough to make a head start on it. I'm just going to press off for now, and we'll set up our builder. I'm going to be placing the diamond chest on top like so, and this will have those stack upgrades that we made earlier, and an advanced compacting upgrade, but we'll figure this one out in just a little bit. I want to add a lever to the side, and this will be to turn on and off the builder. And then I want to run our cables from that active power tap all the way down into the builder. We already made our fortune quarry card, but I'm actually going to turn it into a clearing fortune quarry card, and hopefully you'll see why. You don't have to have this, but it's good because we can get AllTheModium. And what we're going to do is now set out the area to mine. I'm going to shift right click our quarry, and it will say to select the first corner. So we're going to go all the way over here and find a corner that is in this chunk over here. Let's try this one here. And then we need to select the other corner. So I'm going to go all the way over here, and then, I don't know, somewhere probably like here, and set this corner. And now all of those settings are saved into the quarry card. If I then right click the builder, I can see that the shape card is now in. Now right now, if I mined this, all it would mine is that grass, that first top layer, which is not what we want. We want it to go all the way down. And so what I'm going to do is set the dimension of our quarry to 320, and then the offset will be minus a half of that. So I'll set that to minus 160. We've then got these settings down here to void stone, cobble, dirt, etc. I'm going to enable all of these, and you know what, we'll put tag matching on as well. And that should be good. I think we're all set up. Let's re-enable the nuclear reactor and set that off. That's generating away. And then pull the lever, and we should see it's mining. It's telling us the progress, it's telling us the Y level that it's mining at, and we're now receiving all of the ores that it's mining. Now it says here there's not enough power, and we can see that very obviously in the power settings down here. It's not got enough power to keep this thing running at full speed, but that's fine. If I go over, I can actually see where it's mining and how far it's got up to, which is really cool. Let's see. To be fair, it's pretty quick. I mean, we should have some resources in no time, but it's not as quick as it could be. And the fastest way to upgrade the speeds would be to upgrade the reactor that we've built. If you look in the quest line, it says the biggest reactor that you can make using basic reactor parts is 5x5x5. So I think it would actually be worthwhile making that reactor. And to upgrade our reactor, it's not going to cost us that much. In fact, let me just turn this off for now, and we'll break the reactor. And we'll build a 5x5 reactor. Let's do that. We'll set the bottom here, be 5x5. We'll add all of these being fuel rods, and we'll go up by 3 blocks. Add all of our reactor control rods on the top as well, like so. And because this reactor is now bigger, we're actually going to place the solid access ports right on the front, like so, and just place the reactor controller in the middle. Set this one to outlet mode, and then it's literally just filling up the rest of the blocks with reactor casings. So I think it's a lot harder to get your first reactor than it is to get the upgraded 5x5 one, because really all we're adding is the fuel rods and extra control rods, plus some reactor casings, but that will increase our output of energy by a large margin. Right, that is now fully completed. I'll add all of our uranium. You'll see it takes up a lot more uranium. 108 millibuckets, that's a stack and a half. And let's press on and see how much energy we're now generating. Wow, we've actually maxed out the cable's amount that we can actually transfer. That is crazy. I mean, look, we've already filled the internal buffer of 12 million. What? Right, in that case, let's place some more cables around because I know for a fact we're going to need to have some more energy passing through into the faces. And let's turn this on and we'll see that Y chunk. Yeah, that is going down significantly quicker. Yeah, that is clearing layers like it's no one's business. That's brilliant. This would be a great time to set up the advanced compacting upgrade. What we're going to do is place it in the machine, and I'm going to actually disable it right now because you'll see it's compacting everything. So it just compacted our coal into coal blocks, then into coal 1x's, and then into 2x's, which we don't want. But we do want just the regular basic blocks of coal being compacted. So what I'm going to do is change this to works in GUI. And I'm going to change this to match tags. And if I put raw iron in this slot, what we should see in the plus icon is C:raw materials. I'm going to add that. And we want to set the advanced compactor to allow those tags. And then if I press that back on, so if I then add my raw iron back, it should instantly be converted into raw iron blocks. If I put the copper in, the same. Aluminium, the same. Lapis doesn't work. So I'm going to throw lapis in here. And it's under C:gems. So we'll add C:gems. I'll throw the lapis back in. And that should also do diamonds because they're gems. I would like coal. I don't know what coal is. Let's have a look. Doesn't seem like it has a grouping. So I might just use Minecraft coals for this one. So when I throw coal in, it will get converted into blocks of coal. Gold nuggets. Yeah, that definitely needs compacting. We'll put in C nuggets. When I throw those in, yeah, that's fixed. Ooh, I spotted another one that we want to add. We want to add Inferium Essence. We'll add the Mystical Agriculture Essences, and that will convert that into Inferium blocks. I think for now, we're pretty good. We've got the gems, we've got nuggets, we've got raw materials and coals. I would like to do Prosperity Shards, but I don't believe they have a tag. So I'm just going to leave them in like so. And yeah, this quarry is producing tons of resources. Loads of copper, loads of gold. I think it's actually running at full capacity because I can see this bar here being constantly filled up. So I think the only way we can actually speed this up is if we got more dimensional shards and infuse the machine further. And so now, for all of these chests to fill up, we need to get to a ridiculous count. 16,000 diamond blocks for that to actually completely fill up that slot, which I don't think we'll get to anytime soon. So right now, I think that is perfect. I'm going to leave that be and just let that generate some resources in the background. And I think that about wraps up this episode. We've got Creative Flight, a new base, and we've sorted out our quarry, producing us a load of raw materials that we can then process later down the line. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.